A proud racist spent his last days being cared for by the very people he hated. He never knew it. He was a part of what we would call the generation of those who hated everyone who didn't look like them. All of those who didn't think like them. But be clear, he made it very clear to me because I was only the marketer in his eyes. He said, Henry, I never liked you people. I said, really? You people? He said, yeah. I said, well, what exactly was the reason? Why is the hate so strong? What did I do to you? He said, it wasn't anything that you did in particular. He said, but for me, I've always thought that it was harder for me, and DEI and these things made it easier for you. I said, this is fantastic. You've got to really be fully transparent and help me understand what it is you're trying to say. He said, they gave you DEI and took our jobs away. I said, who's they? He said, the government. They believed that you all needed help getting jobs, and if we did these things for you all would then be able to compete in the world, and you take our jobs away, and you did. I said, sir, with all due respect, I'm only a marketer, right? I can't really give you any advice on DEI or anything like that, but what I can tell you, in a world where we've all built everything on racism and how the world lives, it'd be very difficult for me to believe they would have built DEI if they didn't absolutely have to. I said, I got one more for you. The care you're receiving now. Why is it that you let these African-American women take care of you? He said, I'm okay with that. I said, well, how would you feel if the guy taking care of you or the people who were taking care of you were working for a black man? He said, I wouldn't like that. I said, Mr. Joe, and I'm using Mr. Joe just for all intents and purposes because Mr. Joe passed away, but I had to tell him, Mr. Joe, I own this company. And while I have to be grateful and tell you something very real here, because you originally told me this was the greatest service you've ever received. Does your mind change now? Mr. Joe looked at me and said, no. I said, so now here you are, 75 years old. You're going your whole life saying to yourself that DEI was important because we had to have it, because without it, we couldn't have gotten anything in this world and we were inferior to you. He said, I still have my beliefs. You did not change my mind, but you did change how I view people. 2 minutes, one conversation, having those uncomfortable conversations. What uncomfortable conversation are you going to have today? Thanks.